You still believe that the absolute pinnacle of structural engineering is found in massive glass skyscrapers or heavy Western bridges. We were aggressively sold the myth that advanced architecture only began with reinforced concrete, foolishly assuming that the ancients merely stacked raw rocks. But modern topographic maps and deep geological scans reveal a shocking truth that completely humbles current prestigious engineering firms. The ancient Chinese builders did not stubbornly fight against raw nature. They seamlessly integrated their massive projects directly into the most unstable tectonic faults, creating truly indestructible monuments that still deeply astonish the modern world today. Strictly hidden behind heavily colorful tourist facades, these 8 imposing monuments conceal highly advanced architectural secrets that completely defy all contemporary Western logic. We are talking about ancestral seismic damping systems and massive suspended foundations that literally float above deadly tectonic plates. But right before we fully reveal it, smash that like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are truly passionate about the raw truth behind global megastructures. Your vital support allows us to continuously bring you these deep geographical analyses. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss absolutely anything. Let's discover the 8 Chinese monuments with the most mind-blowing secrets. Number 8. The dizzying hanging temple of Hengshan. If you closely analyze any high-resolution photograph, your modern Western brain will immediately scream that it is an obvious physical impossibility. Built over 1,500 years ago, it is literally nailed directly into the sheer vertical wall of a massive cliff 50 meters in the air. Modern engineers initially assumed that the incredibly thin vertical wooden pillars fully supported the immense weight, but they astonishingly discovered that they are merely a clever optical illusion. They support absolutely nothing, visually deceiving all skeptical visitors and tourists from the ground. Below, the true radical secret directly relies on a profound understanding of the mountain's harsh geology and a master system of cantilevered beams deeply embedded into the living rock. The ancient builders masterfully excavated tunnels with absolute surgical precision and inserted immense wooden beams heavily treated with organic oil. The massive solid mountain itself seamlessly acts as a giant thermal shield, effectively protecting the fragile temple from torrential rains and brutal solar radiation. This flawless fusion between highly sophisticated design and raw geological data has miraculously allowed it to survive multiple devastating earthquakes completely intact. Within the highly unstable region, number 7, the monumental Lishan giant Buddha, sculpted directly into the fragile sandstone of a massive steep cliff at the highly violent confluence of 3 massive Asian rivers. It is the largest stone statue in the world. Any Western geologist would immediately confirm that a massive monument continuously exposed to hurricane winds and extreme river humidity should have completely eroded away centuries ago. However, it has incredibly survived 1,200 years, impeccably preserving its facial details, entirely defying modern models of geographical, wherein deeply astonishing hydrologists who meticulously study the fragile local ecosystem. The great structural secret is definitely not the natural resistance of the raw rock, but a highly sophisticated network of microscopic drainage tunnels meticulously hidden deep inside its anatomy. Directly behind its immense ears and completely crossing its massive head, there is a highly complex and entirely invisible internal aqueduct. This astounding hydrological system instantly captures torrential rainwater right before it can aggressively saturate the fragile sandstone and safely channels it away. By rapidly dissipating the water, they ingeniously nullified the highly destructive geological phenomenon of severe water erosion from the inside out, mastering advanced fluid dynamics. Number 6. The colossal and imposing Forbidden City of Beijing. The most gigantic wooden palace complex on Earth sits directly on top of one of the most highly active and lethal tectonic faults in continental Asia. Over 6 turbulent centuries, it has miraculously withstood more than 200 absolutely devastating massive earthquakes. If you built a completely similar modern city, utilizing the highly rigid concrete foundations of contemporary Western architecture, the massive seismic forces would instantly shatter the structural walls into pieces. Its miraculous survival strictly depends on a mind-blowing, biomechanical flexibility called dugong, a nail-free interlocking wooden bracket system. This astounding architectural genius mechanically functions identically to the highly expensive high-tech shock absorbers of a modern sports car, continuously dissipating the Earth's destructive kinetic energy. When a massive earthquake violently strikes, the enormous solid wooden columns are not deeply anchored underground. They simply float freely on heavy bases of perfectly polished stone, During the severe seismic event, the entire massive building seamlessly slides and rhythmically dances on its lithic bases, completely preventing structural tension from snapping the wood. They astutely mapped the highly dangerous regional tectonic resonance to design buildings that elegantly ride the deadly shock waves. Number 5. The Millennial Foguang Temple isolated in the Shaanxi Mountains. This beautiful wooden structure heavily conceals a secret of almost mathematically alien modular proportions. It survived 1,000 years of brutal violent storms and extremely high seismic activity, purely thanks to a sickeningly obsessive standardization of its structural components. Unlike majestic European cathedrals where every single massive block had to be carved to measure, Chinese geniuses heavily utilized an ultra-precise advanced prefabrication system. Each pillar was masterfully designed under a mathematically perfect geometric scale that flawlessly balances immense forces without risking the integrity of the whole structure. This highly advanced logistical system allowed them to heavily erect imposing complex structures in absolute record times, assembling strictly identical pieces with lethal precision like a gigantic modern model kit. The brutal weight of the massive curved roofs, which in the West would instantly collapse breaking the thin walls, is here seamlessly transferred laterally toward strong external columns through highly complex invisible cantilevers. This sheer genius of pure physics allows the dark interior of the temple to completely lack invasive central columns. They possessed highly detailed assembly maps so advanced that they instantly standardized massive imperial architecture forever. Number 4. The indestructible Zhaozhou Stone Bridge. Masterfully constructed in the distant year 595, it is the absolute oldest open spandrel segmental arch stone bridge in the world. Deeply humbling Rome. Western bridges of that era aggressively utilized completely closed semicircular arches, requiring enormous and heavily thick pillars in the middle of the wild river, which were constantly destroyed by brutal annual floods. The masterful engineer Li Chun meticulously designed an incredibly flat main arch and astutely incorporated two much smaller, completely empty arches directly onto the upper lateral shoulders of the massive stone bridge. These perfect empty arches or open spandrels are definitely not a simple or pretty aesthetic ornament. They are true massive hydraulic escape valves strictly designed against extreme meteorological phenomena. When the wild river brutally overflows and violent floods crash heavily against the old structure, the dangerous excess water cleanly flows completely through these highly efficient relief arches, entirely nullifying the extreme pressure. This tremendous innovation drastically reduced the total dead weight and massively alleviated the enormous mechanical tension on the highly fragile geological foundations, allowing it to easily survive countless devastating natural disasters perfectly intact over centuries. Number 3. The deeply disturbing terracotta army of Emperor Qin. Although global tourist attention always instinctively focuses on the immense rows of individual clay warriors, the true master secret is totally underground. This gigantic funerary pit is, in architectural reality, a massive subterranean structural dome, firmly supported by thick wooden columns that were perfectly vacuum sealed, utilizing incredibly heavy airtight clay and compacted sand. The ancient engineers deliberately created an immense artificial microclimate, coldly designed to stop absolute geological time dead in its tracks, preserving the highly fragile weapons exactly as they were, initially buried centuries ago. Highly arrogant modern archaeologists were completely in disbelief to clearly see that the incredibly lethal bronze weapons unearthed did not present a single millimeter of rust after spending 2 millennia completely buried underground. Rigorous chemical scans astonishingly revealed that they were completely covered by a perfect microscopic layer of chromium dioxide, a highly advanced electroplating technique that the modern West only patented in the 20th century. They masterfully dominated precise protection against highly aggressive chemical oxidation and extreme geological erosion a full 2,000 years long, before the modern industrial revolution fully understood the complex periodic table. Number 2. The massive Great Wall in its astounding Ming section. You know perfectly well that it is a highly imposing military megastructure, but you completely ignore the ridiculous geological alchemy that rigidly keeps it standing. The immense sections solidly built along highly unstable tectonic faults were ruthlessly besieged by violent monsoon rains that should have completely crumbled absolutely everything centuries ago. Modern structural researchers analyzed the white mortar strongly binding the gigantic bricks and shockingly discovered an absurd chemical compound that totally humbles the highly resistant modern Portland cement currently utilized in our tall city buildings today. The highly creative Chinese military engineers cleverly mixed traditional slaked lime with a gigantic and absolutely ridiculous amount of extremely high-density sticky rice soup. This strange organic food mixture instantly generated an astounding chemical microstructure, a highly durable organic polymer that forcefully reacts to create a massive crystalline bond, vastly stronger than the original mountain stone itself. Completely unlike rigid modern cement that easily cracks under massive seismic stress, this brilliant mortar has incredibly unheard-of malleable self-repairing properties, effectively absorbing destructive tectonic energy from the aggressive mountainous zones without ever cracking or falling apart over time. Number 1. The terrifying mausoleum of Qin This immense sealed subterranean complex is precisely the massive size of a vast modern city and heavily hides the most immensely dangerous unexcavated tomb in all human history. Ancient Chinese texts, foolishly considered fake mythological legends by highly arrogant Western science, explicitly described that beneath the pyramid existed a vast and highly detailed geological topographic map of the empire. What was truly deeply disturbing was the highly macabre affirmation that the immense imperial rivers were flawlessly recreated, heavily utilizing deadly rivers of highly toxic liquid mercury mechanically flowing forever. Recent modern scans and extremely rigorous geological analyses of the surface soil directly above the immense central pyramid yielded toxic chemical results that instantly terrified the entire international scientific community. The exterior soil deeply contains concentrated levels of highly toxic volatile mercury, up to 100 times higher than naturally possible, irrefutably confirming that the gigantic toxic map is completely real and still highly active. Ancient engineers entirely isolated a massive underground chamber and totally flooded its design with lethal mercury. Opening the massive tomb today would cause an immediate regional ecological disaster and truly atrocious deaths. 8 Gigantic massive megastructures that completely and irrefutably demonstrate that the true, undisputed masters of structural engineering and highly applied geography do not wear elegant modern Western suits. These absolutely brilliant ancient civilizations did not stubbornly fight against highly unforgiving tectonic faults or furiously destructive geological phenomena. They perfectly learned to map them and astutely utilize them as the highly invisible and entirely indestructible foundations of their immense power. If these brutal architectural secrets completely destroyed what you falsely thought you knew, vigorously smash the like button, quickly subscribe, and deeply share your knowledge. Click the screen right now to continue discovering extreme topographical realities